In a previous video, we talked about building a recommendation system to include in our online coffee business. But what if we don't have experience with a certain feature set or domain? How do we proceed? Let's also say there's no readily available third-party platform that meets our needs. That can be because of limitations of the product functionality or for financial reasons. Maybe the platform costs exceed our budget. Let's see if we can use LLMs to learn about this new feature area. As before, first we'll want to give the LLM a role and set context. So let me drop in a prompt from before. So I've dropped in a prompt, and the role that we're having LLM play is imagine you're an expert in building a recommendation system, an experienced machine learning engineer, an expert in deploying AI systems to production. The goal that we're trying to solve for is I'm trying to better understand how to build a recommendation system in the context of an online coffee business. The task is, can you research the key elements involved in building a recommendation system and how to apply it to this problem? Please take into account the assumptions and constraints below. And then the assumptions and constraints include a variety of things. So first, we want the LLM to assume that the coffee business has a variety of products, including different types of coffee and tea. Two, the recommendation system should include reminders of when to buy coffee. So for example, when customers run out. The recommendation system should recommend other complementary products based on similar purchases by other customers. It should include both technical considerations regarding how to build it, as well as business considerations, the customer value and costs of doing so. Please include considerations for web and mobile in separate sections. Please include any other suggestions. And at the beginning, please include a one-page executive summary with the main considerations. Okay, so that is our prompt. Let's run it and see what we get back. Okay, so first, it talks about some business goals and value. It talks about systems components, various features, costs and ROI, a technical overview, recommended stack, business considerations. So this goes through some pretty useful things, but you'll notice that while it talks about various concepts and components, it doesn't really provide a step-by-step plan to help us actually implement this. In other words, this gives us some background and useful information, but we need to take this one step further. So let's see if we can do that. And we'll actually use deep research to help us do this. So we'll drop in the same prompt as before, but we'll make one quick adjustment. When we get to the task piece of it, we're actually going to say, not only can you research the key elements involved, but asking for a step-by-step plan for doing so. And as usual, we get some clarification questions. So let's say we have basic data, such as customer purchases, purchase history, and basic website analytics. We already have a web platform. Assume we already have a web platform live, but don't include any assumptions using standard, but don't assume any specific ones. No preference, but please include cloud and on-premise tools, on-prem tools. Okay, so we'll pause the video here, and when we come back, we'll take a look at what the research comes back with. Okay, well, it looks like we have responses now. So if you take a closer look at this, we have a better understanding of things. So the context looks largely the same, but at first glance, but if you take a closer look, this is a jumping off point to what we're actually going to do and what we need to do, right? So first it talks about the business aspects of things and the context, and then it talks about a step-by-step plan, the key features and requirements, and then the actual approach for doing so. So you can see that this is much better than just providing overall concepts. Part of that is because deep research provides more detail. The other part of it is actually including the step-by-step planning request as part of the task actually allows us to go one step further in understanding how to proceed. And then it continues on and includes technical and business considerations and trade-offs. And this is incredibly helpful. So I don't need to go through this whole thing in detail because there's a lot of content here, but it is a good exercise if you want to understand how to actually implement something, particularly in a new area, or if you just want the underlying business and technical considerations and the trade-offs, you can do that using deep research.